A very good morning to one and all present here today. On behalf of NMIMS University Student Council, I, Vaishnavi, and my colleague Kabir would like to extend a warm welcome to our esteemed speaker for today, Mr. Vikram Masand, Head of Sales Training at Edelweiss Asset Management Limited. He has trained people across hierarchies and in some instances delivered programs with a strength of 500 plus. In Sundar Pichai's words, a diverse mix of voices leads to better discussions, decisions, and outcomes for everyone. With this quote, we, being future industry leaders, are looking forward to building our knowledge and increasing our awareness on the topic of gender diversity in the workplace. I am certain that today's session will act as a stepping stone to prepare students for promoting a balance of power in their organizations in the future.
So before we begin, I would like to introduce our speaker, Mr. Vikram Masand, who is an L&D professional actively involved in strategizing, designing, developing, and executing the various learning and development interventions. He is an experienced professional with the ability to manage all critical L&D activities end to end and has been a part of one of the most successful academies in the financial space since its inception and has managed various roles to ensure its success. With 8+ years of experience and a postgraduate diploma in marketing from Wigan Leigh University UK, he has successfully developed and conducted technical, life skill, as well as experiential programs, which has garnered extremely appreciative feedback from all the customers. Also, he has constantly been involved in grooming trainers and the team to deliver complex programs successfully and work independently.
Sir, we are thankful to you for taking time out from your busy schedule to share your thoughts and experiences with us. Without any further delays, let us start with the enlightening session and embrace ourselves with the correct knowledge on gender diversity in the workplace. I officially hand over the floor to you, sir. Our audience is curious to hear your valuable thoughts and gather the best insights on the topic.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vaishnavi and Kabir, for that warm introduction. And very honestly, it's always a pleasure to connect with future leaders and have a conversation with them, because as rightfully pointed out by all of you people, that it is actually you who's going to shape up what we do and how we do in the future. So it becomes something which I personally always look forward to, and genuinely, getting time for this esteemed audience is a pleasure. Uh, so on that note, let us move our focus to the topic which is at the core of our discussion today, which is gender diversity and inclusion. Uh, to be very honest, it's extremely important uh, topic to have a discussion on to, and not only students across, but the corporate world across the country is waking up to the importance of having a diverse diverse team. And to be very honest, why is that? We'll discuss all of that in due course when I share my presentation. But what I would first like to highlight over here is when we talk of these two terms, diversity and inclusion, although it is used very closely and perhaps even interchangeably in a lot of conversations, what I can tell you is it's largely different, right? I mean, it's a lot of corporates, for example, are understanding and accepting and adopting that it is important to have a diverse team. Now, when I'm talking of diverse over here, it could be gender, so it could be men, women, both. It could be culturally diverse, so it could have people with different thoughts. It could be, people coming from different cities, so you will have multi-city representation, and that also is diversity. So having different people represent becomes a diverse team, right? And when it comes to gender specifically, it becomes representation from both sexes and both genders. Inclusion is a totally different thing. Inclusion is not only having a diversity for the sake of it, but inclusion becomes having people there because they deserve it. They are important, and you make them feel and they are contributing equally. So although these two terms are very, very honestly used interchangeably and perhaps even, together in the same breath, it could mean a lot of different things. Let me give you a small example to take this further. It's assumed that you're invited for a party. Many people are invited for a party, right? So that's diversity, right? Who's included? I mean, people who are on the dance floor with the host are the ones who are included in the party. They feel a part of the party, right? So that's inclusion. And that's how I would first like to get that, so that we all first understand that there are subtle differences, and it's important to look at inclusion more rather than just having a diverse team. Okay, so that's that. Let's move on to the next one, and let's first understand diversity, right? And diversity, obviously, like I was just sharing a moment back, is about having representation irrespective of gender. Or rather, right now, it is about creating opportunities for women, because the representation of women is far lesser in comparison to men, especially in higher positions. So for example, over here we are talking about women accounting for just about 40% of the global workforce. But only 5% of that is being represented in upper management positions. So clearly, I mean, it's quite disparate, right? And it's not a balanced way of looking at things. When you look at this, it clearly creates a situation where somewhere maybe there's been a gender bias in the past. I mean, maybe knowingly, maybe unknowingly. I mean, it doesn't matter anymore, right? But the good part is that people are waking up to this fact that it's not something where we've been able to create opportunities irrespective of gender, right? To take this further and to even look at this further, for example, there was this survey done by World Economic Forum on gender gap, which specified that there is a pay gap between what men and women are earning, and this pay gap, I mean, if it is running as it is at current rate, will take about 135 years to get bridged. So what clearly that would probably mean is it would take about 3 to 5 generations of women who are working, and still there is a gap in terms of how much they are earning in the same position to their male counterparts. So that's something which, luckily, what's also happening is, organizations are waking up to understand that this is a gap which is fairly big, and it is an unfair gap. And it is a gap not based on talent. It is a gap not based on abilities. It is not a gap based on calculating or tabulating productivity, but it's just something which is perhaps now there because of gender biases. And hence, a lot of organizations across the globe, including in India, I'll share some examples later on about what the corporate world is doing to ensure that that this gap gets closed faster, and we don't have to take more than 100-year or 135-year to ensure that there is pay parity when it comes to men and women, irrespective of gender. And salaries and bonuses are paid basis the work that they are doing rather than what gender they are representing. Okay, so that's something which gets covered here. And what are the reasons for this gap? To be very honest, I mean, women, not only in India, more in India maybe than outside, but across the world, are expected to juggle home and work both together. So clearly, there is a lot of responsibilities and pressure on them to deliver on both aspects. So in India or outside also, women are expected to ensure that the house is well maintained. Everything is there in its place. Food is available. The groceries are taken care of. Maybe more in India now than outside, but luckily, what I've also seen in my work life in the recent past is that this is also changing, and maybe the pandemic, when we were all working from home, push this a little more, where equal contribution from both husband and wife or partners at home was seen in order to share responsibilities. So juggling work, family responsibilities, somewhere lack of fresh facilities in offices. So when women have babies, then obviously, in their mind, maybe emotionally, they start feeling that their child needs them more, and their workspace is not providing the facilities wherein they are comfortable taking their child there, and they don't have support at home to take care of children, because of which maybe they either leave work or then start looking at some part-time opportunities which are not well paying. And these are situations which are actually which have happened with a lot of women who've been in the workspace. So that's another reason why women, even though when they start well, unfortunately, don't continue at the same speed, because responsibilities change, and the added emotional responsibility that they have uh, takes precedence. Lack of other facilities, maybe some earlier instances where, because predominantly workspaces were more male dominated, especially in India. So, some sexist comments, or, some loose comments may have been passed, which again makes things a little uncomfortable for women to be around. And, that's also a reason why, we've probably not seen them stride as forward as they should have, had they continued it with the same zest and zeal. So clearly, what all of this leads to is somewhere a lack of motivation, to continue in the corporate world, which was one major reason why a lot of women, even though they started early, they went through the right, grind, and were ready to move up. Unfortunately, maybe at that point in time, family pressures, or uh, family situations changing, or the environment at work becoming a little different, maybe had its effect in them, choosing to kind of take it a little easier when it comes to work. But all of that has changed, and all of that is now something which, I can say from my experience in the corporate world. I've been working now since 2003, so it's close to about 20 years that I've spent, and I've seen a lot change. And really, I mean, there are a lot of offices which are now doing a lot of stuff, and we'll do some examples even in the next few slides, where we'll be able to see how corporate world, and more so, I'm going to be specific to corporate India, has woken up to ensure that we are able to bridge this gender gap. And clearly, the reason for us to do that are the numerous benefits that corporate India can derive from, if we are able to do this. So some examples of benefits are clearly, it increases positivity at work, right? It's an equal opportunity space. It's a safe space. It's a space where, I feel that I can grow, and, I can speak up, and, this biasness, which perhaps was earlier there, is now no longer there, is specifically to gender. And hence, it overall creates a higher degree of positivity in the office. Having a gender neutral office makes everyone feel good to come into the office. So it creates positivity. Now, one, it clearly decreases turnover. If I feel that I am in a space where my work, my talent will provide me with the opportunities to grow, I will not leave. right? I mean, it's a straight linear correlation that you can have over here. I mean, most people leave either because they think that the environment in the office is not great, or they are not getting opportunities to grow. So if that's taken care of, you clearly decrease turnover. So that helps. Another benefit that you derive on having a diverse team is it widens the talent. So now you're not just looking at one gender for a specific role. You're gender agnostic. You're looking at people, and whoever fits the bill gets the job. So that, I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, it's a far better way to look at talent. So that kind of creates a wider talent pool. It improves and helps in building your reputation. Equal representation, representation across genders, the noise around you, around your brand, around what's happening in your organization, all of that helps in creating a far better reputation for any organization, rather than any organization skewed in only having one gender dominant workspace. So it improves reputation, and clearly it's a direct representation of a very, very important gender, right? I mean, when it comes to decision making, in a lot of households, it is women who are making decisions. In fact, data says 85% of the decisions being made in any house is being made by women. And they have their own mindset, they have their own thought, and if you are not tapping into that when you're doing your market research, when you're doing your product development, or when you're going out and meeting your customers, clearly you're missing out on a very, very important uh, gender decision parameter. Let me give you an example also when it comes to this. I was reading this thing on Nestle. And Nestle obviously is huge in baby food, right? And Nestle baby food is something which I'm sure all of us as children would have also taken. And when we will have children, we will also look at Nestle as a product to go to. So it's that generic as a brand. So Nestle, the head of Nestle, when he entered the boardroom, he saw there were about 20-25 people sitting, and they were all male. And he found this quite, 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 I mean, if I were to use the right word, quite a disturbing thing, because he said, we are talking about a product which is bought by women, used by women for children, and we are the ones who are making decisions, and we have no idea of what goes on in their mind. So clearly, I mean, it was something which was a wake-up call for them, and they made changes to have representation from women on their board, so that when it comes to products which are, I mean, not only products which are used by them and for children, which is again predominantly decision-making is done by women, but across it just creates a far better representation in terms of knowing what should you be doing and how you should be doing. And it's something which clearly has its own impact and benefits. So these are 5 very, very large benefits that we could all have just by bridging this gender gap and having a more diverse and included audience in your own organizations. How is India Inc. looking at closing this gap? Quite clearly, India Inc. has understood that just hiring talent is not enough. It's important to have a cultural change. It's important to nurture talent. It's important to skill talent. It's important to look at talent irrespective of gender. And it's also important to have conversations around being gender agnostic in your offices. So all of that is something which has happened, and it is happening at a very, very fast pace. and it is something which I am personally involved in some spaces, and when I hear conversations around it, it's something which makes me feel that better late than never, but it's at least something which is moving now at a much faster pace than ever before. uh, you know at the core of ensuring that we are able to close this gender gap, the one thing which becomes extremely important, it's to provide a flexible working environment. So go on other 9 to 5 days, or come in at 9 and work till late days in office. So today offices have understood that you know you need to look at productivity rather than the time spent at doing something. uh, so there are people. So today, I mean, work from home is a reality, right? I mean, I'm sitting at home and doing this meeting today, and it's absolutely all right. I don't even have to inform anybody that I'm sitting over here and doing, I mean, in my office. So obviously that helps. But flexibility has other factors also. In fact, our Prime Minister also stated that to encourage women in workspaces, we need to create more flexible working environment. So now it's coming right from the top. Everyone realizes that this is an important part. So there are a lot of things, especially for mothers. There's a lot of facilities being provided, longer leaves, longer work from home, creche facilities. There are also a lot of organizations, help, giving you extra money to put your child in a creche if that's not available. So a lot of things are happening over there. Companies are hiring more women. That's clearly something which is working very well. Sorry. Okay, clear. And a lot of facilities are now being provided to ensure that the organizations overall are being gender agnostic, one, to start with, and B, also understanding that the same rule may not work for both genders, and hence being more flexible and allowing a lot more facilities to women, so that they can continue pursuing their ambitions, continue pursuing working, continue being at their productive best without feeling that they are compromising. So that's something which India Inc. is working on, greatly. Let me give you some examples of what's happening in terms of, corporate India. So a lot of things. So there is Wipro, Accenture, and Volvo are three large companies who are working at career reboot programs. Different names, Begin Again, Career Reboot, Excel Hub, all encouraging women who have been on a sabbatical or a break for personal reasons to come back and join. Then there is a company called ABB India, which has got a gender neutral parental program. So irrespective of genders, same leaves are available for both. So that's I think a great initiative. Shoppers Stop has something known as menstrual leaves. For its customer service employees. So 1 day a month additional is something which they can take, and it's absolutely fine. Vedanta is also now looking at employing transgenders in their workspace, in their factory plants. Again, a very, very important equality initiative, because it's something where perhaps that section feels left out on a larger scale and not getting equal opportunity. So that's something which Vedanta is doing. So these are some examples of what's happening. What are we doing at Edelweiss? At Edelweiss Asset Management, actually, we do a lot of stuff, and even I didn't know we do so much more than what while I was doing my research on this topic specifically for you guys. So our CEO, Radhika Gupta, we all know she's very famous. She's the only woman CEO in the asset management space. So she's there. So we have, apart from her, we have our COO, Chief Risk Officer, the brand head at Edelweiss Asset Management, woman. With Radhika, we all know she's now listed in the 20 most powerful women in India. So she is obviously, she's waving the flag high and heighted, on this, extremely passionate and about, whatever she takes up. So that's there. Apart from these roles, we have women representing fund management. We have women representation in finance. We have a zonal head, in sales, looking at who's a woman. We have area heads in women managers managing a large team. So across, we have a very, very diverse representation. And very honestly, I joined Edelweiss in May of 2021. It's been a little over a year and a half. A very diverse, gender agnostic team, to be very honest, and we take pride. In fact, we were just looking at some numbers, and 27% of women working at Edelweiss Asset Management are women, which is better than the average industry average, which is at 22.5. The industry aspirational target is 25.3. So right now we are way ahead, and we've beaten that too. In fact, just yesterday, we also got awarded the best place to work at in the BFSI space. So clearly, gender diversity and a lot of other things are go and speak about anything and everything, where if and this is apart from the line manager. So any issues that they have, they can go and speak. So that's one thing. We invite a lot of women speakers, internally, and to share their story, because this helps, motivating, and helps in having higher aspirations. So we do that. We do a lot of regular workshops on etiquette management, fine dining, image management, specifically for women. We have something known as additional pregnancy leaves. We have something known as additional travel allowance for pregnant women, so which goes up to about 5,000 in metros and about 3,500 in non-metros. So you can take a personal car, travel comfortably. Overall, we have a lot of health sessions, specifically designed for women. POSH is obviously something which you may be aware of, which is mandatory, Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act, which is there. So a lot of POSH awareness and POSH training is something which we do. So clearly, a lot of stuff in order to ensure that we are creating not only a safe and open workspace, but more importantly, an equal opportunity workspace, which is not based on somebody growing because of his or her gender. So that's something which we are doing. Lastly, just share with you top 8 companies as per a list which got published: Accenture, Barclays, Citi, Mastercard, Infosys, IBM, Genpact, EY. A lot of these. I mean, what was great for me to see over here is technology predominantly is what people associate with taking the lead when it comes to being more gender unbiased. So we obviously have Accenture, IBM, and Infosys here, but there are 3 finance companies. So there's Barclays, there's Citi, there's Mastercard, all related to finance. And clearly, the financial world, which in its earlier days used to be a very, very male-dominated, place where people thought finance decisions are more taken by men, and women are more in control of finances when it comes to home, is changing, because clearly three organizations have a very high women representation, and that's more right, primarily because this helps in having equal opportunities, having a different thought. We all know, I mean, we think differently also in a lot of situations, and hence it creates a more rounded organization, a more open organization, a more culturally and gender unbiased organization, which is focused on organizational growth and people growth irrespective of gender. Okay, so this is what predominantly I had in terms of my presentation. And if there are any specific queries or questions, I'd love to take them first and respond to each one of them.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much for the valuable and enriching words of wisdom, sir. I am very sure that our audience will be taking back some major chunk of knowledge on the importance of having a safe and healthy work environment for all genders with no stereotypes. We would now be taking a few questions. Our first question would be, how do you expect the workplace to change over the next 5 years to encourage more women into work?
So clearly, I mean, like I was sharing, lot of initiatives being taken, a lot of equal opportunities being created. I, for one, know that now a lot of organizations who are even going for campus placements are not looking at gender as a criteria while hiring candidates, and that will change. You'll see a lot more gender equality in senior positions. You'll see a lot more rightful representation from women in senior roles in the next 5 years, and that's something which is inevitable and long overdue. So that's something which you will see very, very strongly in the next 5 years.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is, have you noticed a trend towards moving to a more diverse recruitment policy from hiring managers?
Yes. So there are organizations where they have now identified that they want at least an X number of women uh, at every hierarchy level. So that's something which has happened, and that's something which I think will continue to happen till the time there is. So I mean, on one side, it feels that now perhaps women are getting a little more preference at certain levels, but what's also to be seen and accepted is, for a lot of time it's been something which has an unbalanced situation. So to get the balance right, so that's for some time, maybe that happens, but eventually it is going to create a more inclusive workspace. So I know, for example, a lot of organizations now specifically saying that at each hierarchy level we need to have an X number of men and X number of women, so that we have an equal representation at each level. So that's something which I think is a good sign and an encouraging sign, and something which will help tip the imbalance back to and get it into balance.
Very well illustrated, sir. Our third question for you is, could you share some incidents during your work experience where the concept of gender diversity came into discussion?
So a lot of examples. So for example, my organization, prior to this one, I was working at HSBC, and HSBC is a very, very cognizant organization when it works at equal opportunities. So a lot of discussions over there in ensuring equal opportunities being provided. Even over here, ensuring equal opportunities, ensuring growth. A lot of conversations around it is something which happens predominantly, so that nobody in my current or my previous organizations feel that they have lost out on a specific promotion, on a specific growth opportunity because of their gender. That should never be the case. I mean, and that's something which I'm seeing, correctly being managed in most organizations.
Yeah, that was really interesting to know, sir. Our last question to you would be, what's the one piece of advice you would like to give to today's generation on this subject matter?
One piece of advice. Okay, so have conversations at home, have conversations with your friends. Don't look at gender as a basis of decision making. And irrespective of gender, understand it's an equal world, it's an equal opportunity world, and it all starts with you first. I mean, the sooner all of us accept this fact, and have conversations in our own houses and make this a part of normal culture, the faster we will be to close this gender gap and get the equality that it deserves.
Thank you, sir, for answering all our questions. I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you for addressing us today. We are all incredibly inspired by your words. Sincere thanks to Dr. Christine Nilma for organizing this session. Finally, I would like to thank all of you present here for being such a great audience.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you, sir.